The Real Estate Show is proudly sponsored by Gold Key Properties Limited and supported by Gassam and Nalam Clothing.
Ghana's real estate industry is thriving, a reflection of the growth the nation as a whole is experiencing. Gold Key is part of this story. We have a unique opportunity to introduce world-class standards of luxury to the real estate market in Ghana. From pristine residential projects to high-rise commercial buildings, Gold Key is changing our class landscape. The past decade has seen an amazing journey as we have the structures in place to engineer an even more glorious future.
In your quest to acquire a tract of land or any other form of real estate in Ghana, there are laws that exist to ensure you're able to do so safely. The very recent is the Land Act 2020. This particular law details the do's and don'ts in land acquisition in Ghana. But I do know the law can be very complex sometimes. So today on the Real Estate Show, my aim is to help you understand. So we have a man and a teacher of the law on today's edition of the show. He will break it down for you just so you can understand. Hello and welcome to another edition of the Real Estate Show with me, Ifia Fusa. Remember, the show is proudly sponsored by Gold Key Properties. Gold Key Properties has been developing iconic and prestigious properties in Ghana's real estate markets. Now, the Gold Key flagship project in the heart of Accra is Cantonment City, and it's a mixed-use enclave of modern commercial, residential, retail, and recreational spaces in Cantonment. There's a lot going on at Cantonment City, and you do not want to be left out. So we'll display their numbers on the screen. Get in touch with Gold Key Properties, and they'll definitely sort you out. Also, the show is supported by Gassam. Gassam, the nation builder. Let's go for a break. When we do return, I'll introduce my guest, and the show will begin proper. Do stay. This is the Real Estate Show with me, Ifia Fusa. And I did indicate that I have a man and a lecturer of the law. It's such a privilege to have him join us on the Real Estate Show, right? So he's in the person of Kaka Delo Ziem. He's a Dean of Faculty of Law and Business at the Lawa University College. He prefers that I address him without his tail of titles. It's an honor to have you on the Real Estate Show.
Thank you.
Right. So let's begin with the role of a lawyer in trying to acquire any form of real estate in Ghana.
Well, as you rightly said, there's a new law that has been enacted.
Right.
That is Act number 1036,
Okay.
which was enacted in the year 2020, which you have entitled as the Land Act 2020 number 1036, that is Act number 1036. Of course, there have been split of land legislations, which has been a real problem in the country, with some other challenges, because land acts or legislations have been enacted for a long time. And of course, the modernity that's cut up with this country require that there should be some form of legislation to harmonize, revise, and of course consolidate the laws on land to ensure sustainable administration and, for that matter, management, and also to ensure effective and efficient land tenure and to provide for land-related matters. To go straight to your question, you asked the role of a lawyer in land transaction or properties. Yes, the Land Act is very clear on that, where in section 33 of the new Land Act, you call it the Act number 1036. I've actually been very clear that land transaction should be done by a lawyer. And I will not miss a word but to quote from the Act, where it is said that, and I quote, section 33 of that Act says that a conveyance shall only be prepared by a legal practitioner in terms of the Legal Profession Act 1960 Act 32. So this is an act referring to the Legal Profession Act. We have a Legal Profession Act which kind of regulates lawyers in this country and, for that matter, the profession. So as a lawyer who has been enrolled and called to bar, the Land Act recognize only lawyers to do such transaction or to prepare land document.
Right.
Yes.
So if I decide to buy 100 acres of land and I decide to go without a lawyer, what risk could I be putting myself into?
Well, since it's a legislation, you do that at your own risk, because the law is clear that, of course, the conveyance only, and the word only is very
not to cut
emphatic.
you, but
Yes.
when you say conveyance, what does it mean?
Conveyance here is about land, to convey land, that is to lease land related or immovable properties. So as far as land is concerned, any transaction on land in terms of transfer of land is a conveyance. In terms of the documentations that goes to benefit the purchaser in this sense, or transaction between the conveyor and the one purchasing the land. Excuse me to say, that is the transferor and the transferee. So this is a transaction between the parties. The transferor is the one who owns the land, and the transferee is the one who purchases the land. So as far as that transaction is concerned, it requires that a lawyer should prepare the document. If you want to ask the question, what is fraud, then you have to ask what makes one responsible or liable for acts that are not within the correct or the proper transaction of land. For instance, it's fraud if you have no interest in land and you deal with the land. For example, the land guardism is one of the areas that we might more face with so much challenges, where people who have genuinely acquired land and tend to lose their land because of some of these issues of land guardism. We also have fraudulent issues coming with land owners, call it the transferor, who have leased a land to you and turn around, lease it, the same land, to another person. Of course, these are transactions, you can call them, they are fraudulent issues. But other further issues that we need to deal with is other third parties who have no interest on the land and go into the land and try to deal with the land that does not belong to them. Of course, the law as it stands have actually legislated some areas where these activities would make the person or the perpetrator liable for his act.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you conduct an act of land fraud in Ghana, what could happen to you?
Yes, so it is, the legislation is very clear. As I said, it has criminalized such act, and for that matter, the person will be liable to a prison term. Yes.
I see. Now, right. Let's now talk about the types of land ownership in Ghana and what the requirements are for each of them.
Yeah, talking about land ownership in Ghana, I have not taken you through what actually land is. If I may take the opportunity to even define what exactly is land.
Okay.
If you go straight to section 281 of the Land Act, it actually defined land to include solid surface of the earth, trees, plants, crops, and other vegetations. A part of the earth is the surface covered by the water.
Right.
Any house, building, or structure whatsoever, and any interest or right into or in borrowed property. So section 281 is a replica, if not exact, of what the late Justice Onenu defined in his book entitled The Principle of Customary Land Law in Ghana. So to deal with land registration, or let me say, to deal with
the types of land
the
ownership.
types of land ownership in Ghana, yes. We have it straight in section 1 of the Land Act, and I would again refer you to the section that deal with the types of land and interest in land. So section 1 talks about allodial title. Okay. Common law freehold, customary law freehold, usufructuary interest, lease interest, and customary tenancy. These are the interests in land in Ghana. So section 1 is very clear about that. So to try to deal with each of them,
right.
The allodial is said to be the highest or ultimate interest in land.
And when we say allodial, what does this?
Yes, when we talk of allodial, that is land owned by, that is the original owner of the land.
Right.
Yeah, the one who has title to the land originally before the lease is given to others.
Okay.
So, but for allodial ownership at first is only the skin or the stool. But in Ghana here, mostly the stool, they own land as allodial owners. Family owns land, especially when you go to the northern side, it's a family that mostly owns land. If you come to the southern sector, it's the stool that owns land. That is mostly the case. And then family also owns land, and then clients also own land. Government owns land.
Okay. All these people fall under the allodial
ownership.
title.
Yes.
Okay.
And individual can also own land.
Right.
Yes, they do so by pitches.
Okay.
Or at first it used to be caucus, but now that the law has outlawed issues of concrete one to gain land, so it is only by pitches, it's only by gifts, and it's also by other transfers.
Right.
The government, for instance, can acquire land through compulsory acquisition. Yeah, so that is one of the areas in which allodial ownership can be established.
Okay. And now I would like us to focus on what you should take into consideration when you're acquiring a land from any of these interests that you mentioned, being it from government, being it from chiefs, family, individuals. What should you take into consideration when you're trying to acquire a land from any of these people? But before that though, I would want you to take a breather. So let's go for a quick break. When we do return, he would take us through what we should take into consideration when we are trying to acquire any property from any of these people, being it a family, a chief, government, or even individual. Remember, the show is proudly sponsored by Gold Key Properties. They remain the leaders in the development of quality residential, commercial, and all spaces all over Accra. The show is also supported by Gassam, the nation builder. We go for a break and return shortly. Do stay. You're welcome back from the break. This is the Real Estate Show with me, Efia Fosua. Before we went for that break, we spoke about the various kinds of people you can acquire a tract of land from, so you can be from a chief, the family, or even an individual. Question now is, what should you take into consideration when you're trying to acquire land from any of these people? Remember, the show is it's proudly sponsored by Gold Key Properties, the leaders in the development of quality residential, commercial, and mixed-use spaces all over. Gold Key has a special project at the moment. It's called the Cantonment City. You don't want to be left out, so we'll display your numbers on the screen just so you can get in touch with them. So I still have with me Kaka Delo Ziem. He's a Dean of Faculty. He's a Dean of Faculty of Law and Business at the Lao University College. Good to have you back on the show. Now, run us through what you should take into consideration when you're trying to acquire property from a chief, the family, or even an individual.
Yes. In acquiring land from any of these interests,
Right.
as we have discussed earlier on, the law has outlined how land acquisition and registration should be, and that is the area I would like us to talk on, and then I would like to also talk on the area of land transaction, which sort of a bit of repetition to some of the issues that we raise now. In dealing with land transaction, I would like us to also look at the defenses, land title and defenses. So of course, in dealing with the acquisition and registration, then I would like to look at the transaction and for the title and defenses.
Okay.
Then we can look at other matters.
Right. So maybe we can start with the chiefs.
Yes.
Okay.
However it is, whoever transact land, there are processes that the law recognizes. So whether from the chiefs or the student, okay, if you are dealing with the chief, then you are dealing with the student. If you are dealing with the family, then you are dealing with the family head. And if you are dealing with the individual, and then all that. So everything as far as land transaction is concerned remains the same requirement. So land acquisition and registration, there is a legal and administrative regime for the acquisition and registration. And this includes the 1992 Constitution, the Land Commission Act. With the Land Commission Act, which was enacted in 2008, Act number 767, they have 4 divisions. We have the Public Vested Land Management Division. They have the Survey Management Division. They have the Land Vested Division, and they have the Land Registration Division. These are the 4 divisions, as you want to call them, PVLMD. We have the SMD, we have the LVD, and then we have the LRD. We also have the Land Use and Spatial Planning Act. Then we have the Land Act 2020, Act number 1036. We have the Office of the Administrator of Stolen Lands. We also have that of the Environmental Protection Agency, and then the judiciary. We have a situation where the court will make a ruling to declare that you are the owner of the land, which of course is always a matter of litigation that brings the judiciary of the law into, because they actually transacting land. No one goes to register land without necessarily going for the signature of the land registrar
Right.
at the judiciary.
Right. So let me cite an example.
Yes.
If I go to a family to acquire a tract of land,
Yes.
what's the first process? Where do I start from?
Yes, that I will take you through on those things, and there are questions that you further ask yourself. So, like I said, in judiciary, we have the MMDs, we have the security agents. These are the legal and, for that matter, administrative regimes as far as land acquisition and the registration is concerned. So, like you ask, what are the questions that you need to ask yourself when you are trying to get land? When you are acquiring land, the first question I would like you to ask yourself, from whom are you acquiring the land from? For what are you acquiring the land for? For how much are you going for that land? And what is on the land? Remember when I took you through the definition of land, I said land is the surface above a reasonable level of the surface and beneath the surface and all that. And everything on the land is the land, including houses, the trees, the streams and all that. And apart from what is on the land, the next question I would like you to ask yourself is, what plan do I have to develop the land if the land is bare?
Okay.
And how soon can I develop the land? Because remember, a question was taken for how long can one maintain the land? Is it when you abandon the land that someone, like a squatter, is on the land for some time and he turn out to acquire that land or take away the land from you through adverse possession? We may look at that if time allows.
Right.
And the next question, or the last question, is, can I register the land? Yes. So, having asked yourself these questions, there are practical steps that you will need to look at. The first step is due diligence. Right? That is, you do a search.
Right.
If I am acquiring land from you, I need to do a search. What do you need for a search when you are doing a search? It's very, very important.
Right.
What exactly I need is, first of all, the site plan. Because every land has an area, defined area, and that is the site plan will tell the defined area of that land, whether it is 2 acres, 3 acres, or it's 12 hectares, however you can call it. Apart from the site plan, you need details of person requesting.
Right.
Yes. Then a copy of ID. Now, unfortunately, we are using the Ghana card as the ultimate card. But remember, the card can be used like a passport and all that. But the Ghana card has become much more prominent in terms of using it for our transactions. Now, institutions to conduct search is within Accra, that is the Land Commission, that is the institution to conduct search. The land registration, the survey and mapping, okay, the land registration division, like I mentioned, public and personal land management division, it's an institution to conduct.
Unfortunately, we wrap up the conversation here. We are grateful for your time on our real estate show. We're hoping to have a part 2 of this conversation.
It's
There's a
been
lot
nice
of
having
them.
you.
I've learned a lot already, and I'm sure our viewers have done the same as well. So this has been the real estate show with me, Ifia Fosfa. Today we dealt with matters relating to the law and land acquisition in Ghana. We are back same time next week with another power-packed edition. Remember, the show is proudly sponsored by Gold Key Properties They remain the leaders in the development of quality residential, commercial, and mixed-use spaces all over Accra. Gold Key has a flagship project in the heart of Accra, and it's called the Cantonment City. It's a mixed-use enclave of modern commercial, residential, retail, and recreational spaces in Cantonment. If you're an investor, Gold Key Properties is a company that I recommend for you. They're registered with Greater, so you can trust to do business with them. You can get in touch. You can get in touch with Gold Key Properties on 055-588-7777, or you can call them on 055-588-7799. The show is also supported by Gasam, the nation builder. My name is Ifia Fusua. We are back same time next week, and bye for now.
The Real Estate Show is proudly sponsored by Gold Key Properties Limited and supported by Gasam and Nalam Clothing.
Ghana's real estate industry is thriving, a reflection of the growth the nation as a whole is experiencing. Gold Key is part of this story. We have a unique opportunity to introduce world-class standards of luxury to the real estate market in Ghana. From pristine residential projects to high-rise commercial buildings, Gold Key is changing Accra's landscape. The past decade has seen an amazing journey as we have the structures in place to engineer an even more glorious future.